What is the greatest completely legal loophole you know about? For more infotainment, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thanks for watching. One that is no longer in use, but I heard about it a long time ago, and thought it was genius. During the 1970s, a Bulgarian human rights dissident was expelled from his home country to West Germany. He figured out his own private way to get back at Soviet communism. Once a month, he chose a dissident imprisoned in the Soviet Union and wrote him a personal letter. But before mailing it, he would take it to the post office and have it insured against it being opened or tampered with. The Soviet government, naturally, would intercept the letter, open it and photocopy the contents. But because the letter was insured, they would have to pay the insurance award. If they didn't, they would be kicked out of the International Postal Union. The EPU let the Bulgarian dissident do this to a maximum of 1 time a month, so as to not abuse the insurance system. So for years, this man would write a letter of support to an imprisoned human rights activist in the USSR. And 1 month later, he would receive a check from the USSR for a total of $400. Edit. Thank you and a shout out to you /PA2SK for tracking down the original story. My recall isn't perfect and I got a few of the details wrong. https:/www.washingtonpost.com/archive/politics/1982/12/16/note to Russia with love /65B2E43FA1914CB2935118BAAF12/ UTM_term equals .11 Fe 5 E1095B. Here in Costa Rica it's quite hard for foreigners to get a work visa or residency. However, it's very easy to enter the country as a tourist. The only requirement for tourists is that they can't be here for more than 3 months. So, instead of going through the whole process of getting a work visa, at least 80% of the people I know here with foreign blood simply drive up to the Nicaraguan border and come back every 3 months, allowing them to become what is known as a perpetual tourist. I know some people that have been exploiting that loophole, completely legally, for about a decade. Most countries, and I would be very surprised if Costa Rica was not one of them, attempt to close this loophole by limiting the number of tourist visas you can get in a certain period. Like for Turkey, if I remember correctly, it's no more than 90 days in 180 days, meaning if you got a 3-month visa, then left, you would have to wait another 3 months to get a new tourist visa. Also, most places charge a good amount for tourist visas depending on where you're from, so it's not perfectly foolproof even if you circumvent that rule. Most countries are not Costa Rica, which I believe still has the highest number of US expats in the world. The practice is completely accepted and happens daily on a very large scale. I've been told you can get any doctor/dental work you need done while on your Nicaraguan day trip too, as it's really cheap there. I used to work for a credit processor, which is the company that handles the network your credit transactions move across. Swipe your card at a merchant, it goes to the credit processor, who determines which financial institution the card belongs to and authorizes/declines the charge through them, then reports back to the merchant. Anyway, one of our clients was a major bank, one you'd know. We were investigating a recurring network issue that we couldn't really pin down. Every month, this FI's network would strain and overload, around the same day/time, once a month. We didn't have any errors logged that weren't a result of the strain, no identifiable cause, no processes running at that time, they weren't doing maintenance, which was just a formality since the issue was on our network. So I'm idly watching transactions roll across the big screen when it starts flooding with the same line. We got hit with something around 35,000 transactions all at once from the same source. Did some cross-referencing and sure enough we could see the same thing had happened every time the problem occurred, and always the same account. So we called the FI and explained it to them. They looked into it, and here's what they shared with us. They'd had a promotion going on for their bank card to award 100 bonus points every time someone used their bank card to pay their bills online. No minimum to that, no qualifier that the bill had to be paid in its entirety. So this guy wrote a script to pay $350 by 1-cent transactions, and racked up bonus points on his bank card. So if you had that incentive and wonder why it went away, you can thank that guy. And me for narking him out, I guess. I got married to my college girlfriend so that she could claim in-state residency and finish her degree at my university for like half the cost they would have charged her as an out-of-state student. I also looked like a very poor head of household on paper and received a ton of grant money towards my own degree. 10/10 would wed again. By being married you also don't have to report parents' income on the FAFSA form, U.S. financial aid. Edit: the conditions needed to not report parents' income, I don't recommend doing those. Undergraduate students who are under age 24 as of December 31st of the award year are considered to be dependent for federal student aid purposes unless they are married, have dependents other than a spouse, are an orphan, are a veteran or active duty member of the U.S. Armed Forces or satisfy other very limited criteria. Ferens v. John Deere. A plaintiff that had a tractor accident in one state waited until after the statute of limitations had passed to go seek legal counsel. Most lawyers would have given up. Instead, this genius son of a bitch filed the lawsuit in a different state that had more permissive statute of limitations laws, then filed a motion to transfer the case back to the plaintiff's home state for the convenience of the parties involved. Motion granted. In law school you quickly find out that great legal loopholes are a Hollywood fiction, for the most part. But this is the stuff of legend. And really clever lawyering. There's more to this story but I'm drunk and sleepy. Source: MLawyer. You do still need some basis for jurisdiction in the more permissive state. You can't just pick one at random. In this case, suing a nationwide corporation took care of that, but it won't necessarily work on Bob Smith down the street. This is on a much smaller scale than most things presented here, but I'm proud of it. My senior year in high school in Texas, 2002 to 2003, my friends and I found out that if you have too many absences you had to make up for it during Saturday school. Well, it turns out that Saturday school is only half a day and it makes up for 3 absences. So me and 3 other friends would constantly skip school. We didn't do sports so we had all our credits anyway well before end of the year, and then on Friday nights have a LAN party and play Warcraft 3 or Star Wars Galaxies all night. The next morning tired as hell we'd drive to Saturday school and just kinda sit and stare/doze off for about 4 hours and have our absences erased. When I was in high school our school tried using this tardy tracker system which was full of such loopholes. Eventually we realized that being 3 minutes late was marked the same as being up to 45 minutes late. After utilizing that a few times administration was pretty pissed. I don't know how long they kept using that program but it was a waste of time and money IMO. Criminal barrister here, a couple of my favorites. Young man arrested on possession charge after a vehicle search. He admits possession of cannabis and gives his reply to caution, which is recorded in the officer's notebook as, "Don't strip search me." The case is an anticipated guilty plea, but at the first appearance his instructions are that the officer threatened to strip search him if he didn't admit the drugs were his, takes it to trial on this issue. Officer denies ever mentioning strip searching the defendant. At trial the officer is questioned as to why the reply to caution was "Don't strip search me" if the officer had never mentioned a strip search. Pretty clever to set that up in my opinion. I do a lot of road traffic work as well and some of the points taken are quite entertaining, such as putting the prosecution to strict proof in respect of the speed limit for a particular road, and insisting upon a strict interpretation of what evidence would be permissible to that end. What is a reply to caution? Is it required that the officer record this? In England and Wales when anybody arrests someone else they are supposed to be cautioned, where they are told that they are under arrest, that they don't have to say anything, that anything they do say can be recorded and used against them, and it might harm their defense if they don't say something which they want to rely on later. It's similar to having your Miranda rights given to you. An officer is supposed to note, at the time any response which the arrested person gives to that caution, or note no reply in their notebook. If a comment is made, this is generally offered to the arrested person for signature to avoid disputes about what was or wasn't said later on.